Okay, I'm heading to the old dog kennel, and that's sort of a makeshift storage area right now. It's got a hole in the roof. It's in really bad shape, but we use it to store the snow thrower attachment for the Cub Cadet, lawn roller, aerator. We don't use that anymore. And this is our latest acquisition. It's a prize off of Craigslist. It's an unknown year. I believe it to be late 90s to early 2000s. It's a Honda FR600 tiller. Somebody has repainted it at some point. That cover, that's pretty fresh, but somebody's cleaned it up some. My guess is I got a feeling this thing was a rental. I don't really know that for sure, but a lot of these were rental units, and I really get the feeling this was a rental. The sides are missing off it, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. It seems to operate fine. When I got it home, I tried it real quick just to see how it worked, and it seemed to work good. It seems like it might need a carburetor cleaning or rebuild, because the choke has to be halfway on when you're tilling, or it'll bog down and stall out. Other than that, though, it seems to run good. Now, it's been sitting for 2.5 weeks, so we're gonna go ahead and put the choke on, and I'm going to go ahead and start it up and see how it runs. Already got it on. It's in neutral. That's the clutch, and it is off. Okay, let's see how it starts. Started right up. It's a Honda. It doesn't seem to burn any oil or anything. This tiller has a reverse, and it does work, but there's an issue with it that I need to fix real quick. I'll go over that, but I'm going to go ahead and drive it over to the shop now. Thing runs really good. As long as it holds up for a while, I think we got a good deal. See right there, the choke's all the way off. So if I give it some choke, it won't sputter like that. I'm actually going to go ahead and move this into third gear. There we go. It runs just fine, but if you don't have the choke on it halfway, it sputters and dies. So probably just a cleaning or torn adjustment. Okay, right now running it idle with the choke off, it runs just fine. If you try to bring the idle up to mid-range, it falls flat out like that. And then if we put it under load, it's in first gear right now. I'm just going to engage the drive clutch and hold it. Well, it made a liar out of me. He ain't doing it now, but see, it'll almost give out. If I put the choke about halfway on, it runs perfect. Thing is, there's a little adjustment on the carburetor right there. but it's locked into position. There ain't a whole lot of adjusting to do, and I richened it up as much as you can. So I have a feeling I'm going to have to take the carburetor off and clean it out. Thing is, right now it runs fine with the choke halfway on, and we need this right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and run it with the choke halfway on. There is a couple things I'm going to do though. Number one, this throttle lever here, well, look at that, the screw's loose. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that. That's an easy fix, because the throttle doesn't stay put. That was too easy. Okay, second thing I'm going to do is the limit screw there. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up a little bit so it doesn't rev so high, because I think it revs way too high. And I don't see a need for it to run that fast. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up. Okay, I went ahead and adjusted the limit screw there, so it doesn't rev any higher than that. And from my experience with the FR600, the rental that we had, it tills just fine. Really, you don't have to run the RPMs up that high. I have a feeling all it really does is waste fuel. So I'm going to go ahead and put the air cleaner assembly back on and move on to the next problem. Okay, the other problem with this tiller is there is a reverse lockout, so you cannot put it in reverse while the tines are engaged. However, the way this is adjusted, you cannot put it in reverse with the tines disengaged. You can see the indicator there is hitting a little safety. So in order to get reverse, you have to engage the tines and then kind of sneak it over into position there. Okay, now here's the problem. It's in reverse and the tines are engaged, and that ain't something you really want to make a habit of doing. Okay, so if I disengage the tines, now the problem is that little safety lever is hung up on this indicator, and even though, you can see here, the tines are engaged, even though I disengage it, they're actually still engaged because that little safety lever's it's actually holding the clutch engaged, even though the lever's in the disengaged position. So I need to go ahead and adjust that. The adjustment on this appears to be right here. I have a feeling whoever took this apart to paint it, when they flipped it, they just didn't assemble this properly. So I'm going to bring this nut up, and that's going to bring the reverse lockout down. So in theory, it ought to work correctly. Okay, I went ahead and made an adjustment, and it is a fine line in between getting that rod to where it misses reverse or it locks out second gear. So right here, it'll go into second, and it'll go into reverse, and then I'm going to engage the tines, and now with the tines engaged, it will not go into reverse. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it forward. This is the next problem we have. This height adjustment, the tilling depth adjustment, is stuck. So I'm going to beat that with a hammer, and hopefully that comes out, because we're going to be tilling virgin ground. We definitely don't want to try to till it full depth right off the bat. We're going to try to do it in steps. Okay, I got a hammer. Let's see if it works. I see why they didn't do anything about that. It is stuck. Well, that tiller depth foot is stuck in there. So this thing must have always tilled at full bore, or more likely it sat around for a while. I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. It's only 2 bolts, and I'm tired of beating on it with a hammer. So we'll take it out and see what we can do. May even put some heat to it. I'm starting to think maybe this was a rental unit, and that's why whoever repainted it did so. It probably had decals all over it. Maybe it was a rental unit and sat out for a while. Well, it seems to run well enough, so hopefully it was a good purchase. Okay, that comes off pretty easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what we could do with it. If I had to guess, this thing probably hasn't been adjusted since the Clinton administration. It's on there pretty good. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. Oh yeah, free at last. Go ahead and clean that up and get it moving freely again. This die grinder probably hasn't been used since the Bush administration. Already got this side. See how that works. It's a lot better than it was. Okay, that adjustment's moving nice and freely now. It did not have a pin in it, and the pins I have are either too big or too small, so I'm gonna have to go with too small. This was at the This was in the kit that I got at Habitat for Humanity a couple months ago. And I think I paid 25 cents for, I think it was 75 cents. It had several of these pins in it. And it was worth every penny tonight because I'm using it. I'll probably try to get the correct size pin eventually. But for now, that will work. Okay, and now we'll go into reverse. Without the tines engaging. Go into first. Sometimes it's just like a manual trans car. If it won't go into gear right off the bat, I just engage the clutch just a hair in neutral and it slides right in. Well, so far I'm pretty happy with this thing. Let's see how it holds up tilling tomorrow. Another thing I need to get for it's a fuel cap. I don't know what the heck happened there. I don't want dirt getting in there. Also mentioned I checked all the oil levels. We have an oil level there in the tiller gearbox. Of course, engine oil level. And there's another oil level. I'm not exactly seeing it right off the bat, but in the actual transmission gearbox, I've checked all 3. And I think we're ready to go and give her a try tilling.